Today we got to preview NFL Week 12 on this edition of the Shumake Take. Let's get it. All right, and welcome in everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shumake, and you are listening to the Shumake Take. This is episode number 24, and today we are going to recap Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and ultimately preview NFL Week 12. But before that, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Just got through eating dinner not too long ago. Ate some delicious barbecue mac and cheese. If you're someone who loves Southern comfort food, there's almost nothing better than some good old-fashioned barbecue mac and cheese. My mother had a slow roasted pork the whole freaking day, from sunrise to sunset. Not actually that long, but it's been going for a big majority of the day. And along with that, just got a good old-fashioned Cracker Barrel box of mac and cheese, or you know the brand Cracker Barrel, and just throw it in the pot, cook it, and boom. There you go. Slap some barbecue sauce on that bad boy. You talk about good. You talk about really, really, really good. You got the sweetness of the barbecue, the savoriness of the mac and cheese, and the savoriness with all the seasonings and the pork. Oh my goodness, you talk about good. And along with it, had some delicious fried apples. Oh my God, you haven't lived until you've tried fried apples. And if you live somewhere in the South, you can't say you're truly Southern if you haven't had fried apples. Come on now, you already know you got to get some of that good stuff. But other than that, another thing I want to talk about is something I've really gotten into recently. Well, really into recently. It's watching the original 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you haven't watched any Saturday morning cartoons from the 1980s, you need to watch them. I really highly enjoy it, and I really highly advise it, because here's the thing. The 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is literally the most goofiest and funniest cartoon I think I've ever watched. Funniest, that's a stretch, because, Tom and Jerry's up there. Tom and Jerry's my favorite slapstick cartoon of all time. It's hilarious. It's a classic. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is up there. This show is absolutely goofy. You guys need to, if you guys have Paramount Plus, you guys need to go get on Paramount Plus, go look at it. It's amazing. It's really funny. There's a lot of great moments in there. But if you don't have Paramount Plus, I would advise the first 5 episodes from the first season are for free on YouTube. So there you go. There's an opportunity for you to check it out for free, see if you like it, and then go get yourself a Paramount Plus subscription and go watch the rest of the show. I just started season 3 yesterday. And season 3 has a whopping 47 episodes. Fun fact, real quick before we talk about football, the reason why there's 47 episodes in season 3 and why there's only 19 episodes in season 2, in the 1980s, originally Saturday morning cartoons aired on, of course, Saturday mornings. But as they picked up, shows like the Transformers, G.I. Joe, Inspector Gadget, as these shows started to pick up more steam and as toys started falling off the shelves, they realized, like a lot of these companies realized, that they need to get more and more content out. They need to pump out more content. So what ended up happening was, instead of going to every Saturday morning, they started airing an episode every single day. So when kids got home from school, that's when they'd be able to catch their favorite cartoons instead of just on Saturday mornings. But like I said, I'm 2 episodes into season 3, 2 episodes out of 47. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be awesome. And I also intend on watching the 2003 iteration of the Turtles, then in 2012, then in 2018, and then the new series right after that, along with maybe watching a couple of the movies in between. Turtles movies aren't really that good. The original one was really bad. The live action ones are not that great, although they have a couple funny moments, but I digress. We're not here to talk about the Turtles, though, even though I highly recommend watching it. Eat it with a bowl of barbecue mac and cheese with some fried apples while you're at it. But talking about Sunday Night Football, the LA Chargers beat the Cincinnati Bengals 34-27. The LA Chargers winning a back-and-forth thriller, cementing themselves as a playoff team and leaving Cincy and Cincinnati fans in a deeper depression. So for the Chargers, first off, before I start recapping these games, I want to apologize that I did not watch these games. Unfortunately, I was recording episode 23 as Sunday Night Football was happening, and by that point, my allergies had gotten so bad, I literally just said screw it, and I went to bed and called it a day. And then last night for Monday Night Football, I really didn't have plans on watching it anyway, because I didn't think it was going to be a good game, and turns out it really wasn't a good game at all. Although the Cowboys did have a couple of nice plays, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But going back to the Bengals and Chargers, the Chargers won this game because the Bengals defense is terrible. Now, obviously, that's such a blanket statement, right? And you can say, "Oh, you didn't watch the game." How that's an obvious statement, but at the same time, the Chargers, I've talked about it before previously. The Chargers are a very disciplined football team. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't really commit a lot of penalties. They don't commit turnovers very often. And on the flip side of that, when you commit a turnover or a penalty against the Chargers, they make you pay for it. And the thing is, it's a lot of giving. They really do good at not giving, and they do good at taking, if that makes sense. But the big thing for the Chargers of why they were able to win, sorry, I got a really bad itch on the middle of my forehead. That doesn't look very good on camera. But the thing was explosion and balance. Explosion. You got Justin Herbert for 297 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 65 yards rushing on the ground. I think it was on 5 carries, 13 yards per rush, give or take. I can't remember the exact amount of times he ran the football. But J.K. Dobbins only ran the ball 11 times for 56 yards. Had 2 touchdowns, but 5.1 yards per carry. Follow me here for a second. Gus Edwards, only 6 carries for 27 yards, 4.5 yards per carry. Ladd McConkey, the star rookie receiver for the Chargers, 6 catches, 123 yards. Will Dissly, 4 catches for 80 yards, touchdown, big 21-yard touchdown to start the game. Quentin Johnston had a big 26-yard touchdown. I think it was in the second quarter, I believe. That's where your explosion comes in. And then you look at your balance. Justin Herbert had 297 yards passing, threw the ball 36 times. The Chargers as a team ran it 25, 26, 27 times. Now, that is pretty darn close, if I do say so myself, but that's how you want to run your offense. You want to have solid production and efficient play out of your running game, whether it's your quarterback, whether it's your running back getting the ball. I mean, obviously, receivers and whatnot can get in the mix as well, which we'll talk about later on. With the Cowboys game, CeeDee Lamb got a nice little run there, but you got to be able to do both at a high level. This is I know I've talked a lot about being able to run the football. Running the football helps your passing game a lot, which is true. That's not taking anything away from that. But being able to do both at a high level, that is the foundation. That is a sign of a really good football team. Because a lot of games, you can see bad football teams, they can throw the ball and can't run the ball. Then they run the ball really well, but they can't pass the ball. You see a lot of unbalanced play and uncomplimentary football with bad football teams. You simply do not see that with the LA Chargers. They run the ball well. They throw the ball really well. And that's all credit to Jim Harbaugh, the head coach for the Chargers, because when he was the head coach in San Francisco, when they went to the Super Bowl all those years ago, that's what his team was built on, was a great defense, and on offense, really solid running game with Frank Gore, and then you had Colin Kaepernick at quarterback, throwing to Michael Crabtree. Great stuff. I mean, it was a recipe for success. And you can see that same formula kind of coming together with the Chargers here, and now they stand at 7-3. And the question begs, I said they were a playoff team, but are they a legit playoff team? There's a difference here. We're going to get to that difference here at the very end of the show because they faced the Ravens on Monday Night Football in LA. But I want you to hold on to that nugget for a little bit. Are the Chargers a legit playoff team? Let it marinate as you think about, as I talk about the Bengals and as I continue with my previews, whatnot. I want you to think about the Chargers for a little bit. Keep it in the back of your mind because we're going to get back to it here at the end of the show. But for Cincinnati, oh wait, I'm sorry, script. Script was not organized properly. For the Chargers, we'll go back to the Chargers really, really quickly. The Chargers defense was challenged in this game. They really, they had their worst statistical performance. I didn't even say that right. Their worst statistical performance, close enough. And obviously, as I said, I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how it really turned out. But it's safe to say, Chargers defense struggled in this game. But I think, considering how well they've played all year and that they're one of the best defenses in the NFL regardless, I'm not willing to kind of be like, uh-oh, fraud alert. No, I don't really see that. Sometimes in the NFL is any given Sunday type of game. You can have, a game like the Chiefs and the Panthers, which we'll talk about later on in the show. And sometimes, one time out of 20, one time out of 10, the Panthers probably win. That's a possibility. Any given Sunday in the NFL is a real thing. It's not like in college where, you got an SEC team going up against like Ball State or Austin Peay, right? It's not the same thing. In the NFL, I mean, it's high caliber football. That's why the NFL is the best of the best, because you can get a bad football team and they can upset one of the best teams in the NFL. That's entirely possible. But that's besides the point. The Chargers defense was challenged today, but I'm not going to worry about it because the Bengals, they have a really good offense, no doubt about it. And quite frankly, that's been the only thing that's been good about it, is literally just been Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. That is really much it. Although there is a couple players that stepped up big in this game. First off was T. Higgins. T. Higgins had 9 catches for 148 yards, a touchdown. First game back from missing, I think, 4 or 5 weeks off of an injury. Good for him. It's great for him because obviously being hurt sucks. He's in a contract year, so those injuries are going to be used against him when he goes to get a new contract. So in the games he has left, in the 6 games remaining on the schedule, he needs to show out. He needs to play well, and playing well against the Chargers, who have a really good defense, that was a great start. That was a really great start for him. And along with that, Jamar Chase, as you know, he had 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 catches, efficient as always. And Chase Brown had a good game as well. He only had 86 rushing yards, only had 3.9 yards per carry, but he also added 57 yards in through the air, 5 catches there as well. So 27 total touches, 143 total yards, which I think is his second best total on the season. And his best total was a few weeks ago in another loss. I can't remember that game. I apologize. Fix my hair for a second. I kind of felt it high, kind of trying to get out of my hat for a second. Can't have that, can we? No, we cannot. However, Joe Burrow had 356 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. And I saw a graphic earlier in the week that showed all the yards, total passing yards that he had in every game to this point and how high they are. He leads the league in passing yards, leads the league in passing touchdowns. I mean, he's having what some people would say is an MVP level of a season. And I would be willing to agree with that. But the bottom line is this team is not good. It's not good. And outside of Jamar Chase, consistently, you haven't been able to get Chase Brown, to get going and get consistent. T. Higgins has been hurt, and they played out in this game, and it still wasn't enough. And why wasn't it not enough? It's because of this defense. I'm not going to talk much more about the Bengals defense more than I already have. At this point, it's become redundant. But at this point, you look at the Chargers and you look at Jim Harbaugh, they got the right head coach. You look at this team and how much they have turned around, not just record-wise and, with the players and on the defense side of the ball especially. Look at the culture. The culture is completely different compared to what it was with Brandon Staley in years past. And then you go back to Cincinnati and you look at Zach Taylor. Do we need to start looking at Zach Taylor and fire him? Bengals fans have been calling for his job since early last year when they started 1-2 or 1-3, and Joe Burrow was hurt, and then he eventually went out and they started struggling. And then eventually, they did catch their stride at the end with Jake Browning, and they finished at a respectable 9-8 record, just barely missing the playoffs. But at this point, we really have to question if Zach Taylor is the right head coach for this football team. Now, to be fair to Zach, look, he took over the team in 2019. Obviously, they're a rebuilding year. 2020, you draft Joe Burrow first overall, plays well, gets hurt. 2021, you come back, your defense is ready to compete. He has an offense ready to, around him ready to go win, except for an offensive line that was really, really bad. But then he goes to the Super Bowl and, goes toe-to-toe with Matthew Stafford. Ultimately, they didn't win, of course. But in year 3, you go to a Super Bowl. That is a really, really good trajectory for your head coaching career. I mean, you start off, 2-14 your first year. Then you go, I think it was 5-11 or 6-10 in the second year. Granted, like I said, Joe Burrow was hurt a lot in his rookie season. And then you go to 2021 and you go to the Super Bowl. That's a huge jump. And that's a huge credit to Zach Taylor. I mean, To be able to make that jump is absolutely impressive and massive. I mean, you can't not be a good head coach and not be able to do and to be able to do that. Like, if you're not a good head coach, you're not doing that. And I think Zach Taylor is a good head coach, but you have to think about, is he the right head coach? Because you look at the past couple of years, you look at the defense that's slowly been struggling, and then in this offseason, you lost DJ Reader on your star defensive tackle. He goes to Detroit, or I think it was BJ Hill. I can never remember. I always mix those two up. But you lose one of those guys. You try and get Geno Stone. You draft Chris Jenkins out of Michigan to try and fill the hole, and this defense just simply has not lived up to expectations over the past couple of years. This year, especially, it's been really, really bad. But to answer the question, ultimately, do we need to fire Zach Taylor? I don't think you do. Look, the offense is not the problem in Cincinnati, and Zach Taylor runs the offense. Obviously, he's the head coach, so he should also be able to elevate his defense as well. That's why he's a head coach, not an offensive coordinator. That's where the separation begins to come in. I talked about that when Robert Saleh got fired weeks and weeks ago, like week 4, week 5 with the Jets. I said the same thing. You're defensive head coach, you're an offensive head coach. Your side of the ball should have to be good. That's your calling card. But at the same time, you're a head coach because you're supposed to have the ability to elevate and improve and coach the entire team, not just one side of the ball. And for Zach Taylor, he hasn't been able to do that. But I think if you get a new defensive coordinator in the building, you get a fresh start, a fresh new scheme, and you really build this defense from the ground up. You can probably draft an edge rusher to go next to Trey Hendrickson and really help him out. You draft another linebacker to complement Jermaine Pratt. You get a corner. You get another safety. There's going to be good free agent options on defense, and there's going to be good options in the draft as well, especially at the top. For edge rusher, you look at James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, Abdul Carter out of Penn State. You look at Michael Williams. I can't remember what college he's at right now, unfortunately. I'm sorry to him. But there's going to be options to build this defense next year and get better. And I think if this off defense can make a jump and can really get what they need to be better, this team is going to be a playoff team all over again, I feel like. This year, it's just the defense has been so atrociously bad, it's literally holding this entire team back. And when you can't get consistent production out of your entire offense as well, except for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, it's a big issue. It's going to cause a lot of things to happen, and obviously losing games is one of them. But I've rambled too much about this Bengals defense. I talked about how I'm not going to ramble too much because it becomes redundant, and then I ended up going on a huge 3-4 minute rant about it. But that's what the Shumake Take's all about. It's all about talking and just going on tangents. That's how I talk. That's how I roll. So sometimes, you know how it is. Sometimes you just get on a roll and you just don't want to stop. Whether it's like a homework assignment, or you're in the middle of doing something with a hobby, or just working on a project, like you're like doing something to your house. It sucks when you have to stop. It sucks when you're in the thick of it and you have to stop doing what you're doing and stop your momentum. It sucks so bad. But moving on to our Monday night football game, the Houston Texans defeat the Dallas Cowboys 34-10 in Dallas. And we'll start with Dallas. We'll start with the Cowboys here. Cooper Rush, I thought, had a pretty solid game. Obviously, I didn't watch it, but I watched the highlights. I looked at the box score, and it's my impression that Cooper Rush had a decent game. Now, look, the interception, that was unfortunate. We'll start with there. CeeDee Lamb looked like he was trying to run a vertical. Defender ran into him. I thought maybe that could have been called for pass interference. It looked a little sketchy, but Cooper Rush was throwing it, thinking he was going to be there, and CeeDee Lamb ran into the corner, or the corner kind of stepped in his way, and, well, yes, I ran into him. You get it. But then Derek Stingley sitting right there, ready to pick it off. Boom. That was unfortunate early in the first quarter. But the touchdown was beautiful. I mean, wide open to Kevontae Turpin. He did most of the work. Shout out to Kevontae Turpin, by the way. That was a huge touchdown for them. And that was the best play of the game for them, in my opinion. But the thing was turnovers. The interception, obviously. Brian Anger, the punter, they ran a fake punt. And they got yards. You got 3/4 of the way there, but didn't convert the first down. That was really bad. And offensively, for the Cowboys. I already shouted out Kevontae Turpin, but CeeDee Lamb, 8 catches and 93 yards. He's still having a good game. I thought that CeeDee Lamb would probably fall off a little bit in production after Dak got hurt. No, not really. He didn't do a whole lot last week, but that was to be expected. Cooper Rush starting in his first game, kind of, whatever. But that second game, everything kind of settled in a little bit, as much as it really can. I mean, 10 points is really not saying much. But for CeeDee Lamb, he had a good game, so that's fine. But other than the back to the turnover thing, Brandon Aubrey missed a kick. Wouldn't have mattered ultimately, but that still sucks. That's a drive wasted. Oh man, my throat is dry. I need to get a drink of water. I thought I was getting there, but turns out I'm not. Gotta hydrate, guys. Drink your water right now. Water break. Drink water now. If you're not drinking water, you're doing it wrong. Drink water, please. Anyways, continuing on. This time, I'm not going to rant on the defense very much. Same thing here with the Bengals. This Cowboys defense is just bad. And the thing is, there's talent on this side of the football, but it's just not being realized. And, Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator. He was great. He left, and now he's head coach in Washington, and it's been all just... It's been all bad. It's been all bad, all terrible. And at this point for Dallas, you're 3-8, and you hear that players are starting to check out, players are starting to give up, and at this point, you got Mike McCarthy on an expiring contract. I think he's done after the year. You're gonna let him go, and you got to find a new head coach. You're gonna find a new head coach and start from the ground up. Maybe not start from the ground up, but the defense really needs to start from the ground up. And with you having to pay Micah Parsons, with how bad the team is he really going to want to stay? I don't know. At this point for the Cowboys, sorry, you just got to start looking to the draft, start looking toward next year. Because at this point, the Cowboys are going to finish with a top 10 pick in the draft. But for the Texans, this is a game that I thought they needed to win. Not in the sense of they were losing, they're struggling. No, they've had their struggles, but nowhere near the amount of good wins or the amount of wins that they've had. The ups have very much outweighed the downs, or outplayed the downs for Houston for sure. No, by far, there's no doubt about that. But here's the thing, the Texans, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. The majority of their games are one-score games, and they are, out of curiosity, this is a fun fact, by the way. The Cowboys are 1-4 when their opponent allows more than 20 points in a game. And the one game they won was against the New England Patriots, where they won 41-21. And obviously for Houston, that's not a good formula to win. But look, you played a really bad Cowboys offense and defense, which the Cowboys offense I thought was okay in this game, despite the fact that they didn't only put up 10 points. But the Cowboys, I keep saying Cowboys in Houston because they're both Texas football teams. So this is kind of confusing me in my head for a second. But Houston, they really haven't had a huge dominant win yet. It's all been tight, close. Sure, they beat up on the Patriots pretty darn bad, but this was a bigger win in terms of a blowout. Obviously the points, but when the product on the field, there's a difference there. They really needed this win because they really haven't had a huge dominant win outside of New England. We'll throw it in there for the sake of the argument. And I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much it for that type of narrative. But the other narrative I want to get to really, really quickly was Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is, quite frankly, I was wrong about Joe Mixon going into the year. I thought that I wasn't one of those people that were like, oh, he's washed, he's done. I didn't think about that, but I thought that he would at least solidify the position for the Cowboys for the Texans. But he's been far and away the best offensive piece on the Texans offense. I'm just going to say that with confidence. He's the best. He's the most consistent. He had 20 carries, 109 yards, 3 touchdowns on the night, and 44 receiving yards to add on to it. And as I said, he's the best player on this offense, in my opinion, and he's really been the oil that runs the offense. If you think about what Bobby Slowick's philosophy is, we think about the Texans offense, we think about CJ Stroud, we think about Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Robert Woods. We think about Dalton Schultz. We think about all these weapons on the outside and over the middle in the passing attack in general, right? That's what we think about when we think about the Houston Texans. But Bobby Slowick's offense is a run-first offense. And last year, in his first year as an offensive coordinator for Houston, obviously there was more struggles because you had Devin Singletary, Damian Pierce in the backfield. So it was kind of up and down. And then you get a running back like Joe Mixon, who was at the time a solid starter that I thought was going to solidify the position. And guess what? He's been nothing but great. He's the best player on the Texans offense. So now you can really see the philosophy of Bobby Slowick and this offensive scheme kind of begin to get realized, where you run the ball, you run it well, helps you create your opportunities in the passing game, which is already really good in its own right because of how talented it is. And pretty much, like, some people would say, like, you probably need to be a more passing-oriented offense because of the weapons that CJ Stroud has. But look, your passing game is built on your running game. I've talked about this before, but being able to run the football is everything for your football team. And if you can do that well and then kind of let your passing game build off of it, it makes your passing game that much better because there's something you can lean on. It's complementary football. It's simple complementary football. But Joe Mixon has been that dude. He has been that dude for the Houston Texans, and I'm happy for him. I know a lot of people were trashing him when he went to Houston. I know people were trashing him on his way out of Cincinnati at the end of last year. And guess what? He has silenced almost any, if any at all, that are still left. He's silenced all the haters that have been after him all offseason going into this year. And he has been incredible for Houston. So shout out to Joe Mixon. Great season so far. And rooting for him, wanting the absolute best for him. He's doing great right now. But we got to move on to previewing NFL Week 12. And before we begin, we got to talk about bye weeks. And oh my God, I just noticed I forgot to do my weekly toot my own horn about my record picking games. But last week I was 8-6 picking games, so not great, not terrible, kind of in the middle. And I can't remember what my record is right now, but obviously it's going to stay winning, and it's not going to change all that much. So we'll keep it. We'll keep it. Leave it alone for now. It's not too big of a deal. But teams on a bye week, I put it to the beginning of the list this time, so we could get that out of the way first. Teams on bye. We got 6 teams this week: the Falcons, the Bills, the Bengals, the Jaguars, the Saints, and the New York Jets. Which, by the way, the Jets fired their GM Joe Douglas today. Well, you guys are going to be seeing this Wednesday morning, so it would be yesterday when you guys are listening to it, but today as I record it. And I probably should have talked about this at the beginning of the show because it's news, and I kind of want to talk about NFL news first and then get into the games and get into the meat and potatoes. But real quick, the Jets firing GM Joe Douglas was dumb. I'm sorry, that was a dumb decision. I thought about it throughout the day when I was at work and I saw it, and it's just dumb. Because look, you can say what you want about how the Jets are doing right now and how bad they are. Fine. But look, Joe Douglas has built a roster that, quite frankly, this roster on paper is a playoff roster. It is. It simply is. You look at Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, now Devontae Adams, right? The offensive line, which has a couple good pieces, sure. And on defense, Hassan Reddick, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, like CJ Mosley, Will McDonald. Like, there's a whole bunch of players on this roster that should be stars on paper, but it hasn't, come to fruition. And that's coaching. That's a coaching issue, not a GM issue. The GM, the past couple of years, you could argue that the Jets have had a playoff caliber team. When Aaron Rodgers first got there, that's what people said, they were going to go to the playoffs, and then he got hurt, and Zach Wilson came in and was terrible. And sure, Joe Douglas was the guy that drafted Zach Wilson. He missed on that. But at the same time, I mean, you can't take away from the fact that he's drafted Garrett Wilson. He drafted Breece Hall. He drafted Will McDonald. He drafted Sauce Gardner. a lot of the cornerstones on this roster were guys that Joe Douglas drafted, and they fired that guy. And I'm just going to conclude this little segment with Jets are going to jet. Sorry, Jets fans, but, he wasn't the problem in New York, and just another person. Well, I should say another person, but a person that got the short end of the stick that really, truly did not deserve it. Robert Saleh, you can debate that all you want, but Joe Douglas definitely did not deserve to be fired by the Jets. It was not his fault for how bad this team has been so far this year. But moving on to Thursday night football, we got the Cleveland Steelers. Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say. The Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Cleveland to face the Browns. Give me the Steelers to win this game. Must I explain it myself very much? Look, the Steelers offense is solid, clean, efficient. What is that ringing noise? Like occasionally I'll talk and I'll hear like a ring. Oh, I think I know what it is. It might be that lamp that's sitting on the floor next to me. It's a glass lamp, and I don't know. My voice might be like kind of bouncing and getting in there somehow. I have no idea. At this point, I mean, I don't know what I hear and what I don't hear anymore. I was in marching band for 3 years, and I played trumpet for 7 years. So sometimes my hearing just doesn't like to work and does really weird things. Continuing on, like I said, I'm not going to explain why the Steelers are going to beat the Browns. The Steelers, their offense is clean and efficient. Their defense is really, 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 really good. And the Browns are just bad. They're just a bad football team. But here's the thing. Cleveland, I think they're going to challenge the Steelers in the first half because, as I said, the Steelers are clean and efficient. They're not super explosive all the time. And Cleveland might be able to take an opportunity here and there to, keep the game close a little bit. But ultimately, the Steelers are going to win. They're a much better football team, and there's not much more to say past that. And next up on the list, I smell an upset brewing. I smell a big, big, big upset brewing. The Chiefs travel to Carolina. I'm sorry. I couldn't sell it. I was thinking about selling it the whole time as I was making the script. I simply could not sell that. I'm sorry. There's no upset brewing here with the Chiefs and the Panthers, bro. That's not happening. That is not happening. The Chiefs are going to destroy the Panthers, and considering they lost to Buffalo last week, it was a really, really tough loss for them because it was their first loss of the year. Guess what? You're going to Carolina against one of the worst teams in football, arguably the worst team in football. And here you go. You're going to go beat the ever-living crap out of them. That's what I think is going to happen. The Chiefs are going to win this game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But watch Bryce Young, though. Bryce Young has put a couple good games together, and this is a big test for him because the Chiefs' defense is really good. And we'll see if Bryce Young can string a third game together against a really, really good defense. Next up, the Vikings travel to Chicago to face the Chicago Bears. And I thought about this one for just a little bit. And at first, I was like, look. This is going to be a close game because the Bears, they gave the Packers everything they could handle, and ultimately they could have won the game, but the blocked field goal at the end was really, really heartbreaking. But then I thought about the Vikings and thought about where they are as a football team. Look, offensively, there's been some struggles, sure, with Sam Darnold, but you still have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, T.J. Hawkinson. This offense is loaded. This offense is loaded. It's good, and against the Bears defense that's been susceptible, I think they're going to put up points. But really, for me, it's the defense of the Vikings. They're one of the best units in the NFL. Brian Flores has turned this unit around in a couple years of him being there. And for the Vikings, going up against the Chicago Bears defense, I think this is going to be a bloodbath, especially with the interior of the offensive line. I think they're going to be, Caleb Williams is going to be eaten alive. He's going to be running for his life. And that's really going to be the name of the game, in my opinion. I see 5 or 6 sacks coming for the Minnesota Vikings. And for Chicago, you're going to have to figure out you just have to figure out how you're going to beat the blitz. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to get the ball out quickly to Rome Odunze, or is it going to be a DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, whoever it may be. I think one of them's hurt right now. Cole Kmet, he's going to be your guy. You got to be able to dump the ball off to him quickly. DeAndre Swift, utilize him in screens. That's simply the only way you're going to have any chance of beating the Vikings, and I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I think this interior offensive line is just not going to be enough. And I think with Caleb Williams being a rookie, he's going to run around a little bit. He's might going to run into a couple sacks, I think. And it's just not a recipe that bodes well for the Chicago Bears, which is why I have the Vikings winning this football game. Next up on the list, the Tennessee Titans going to Houston to face the Texans. This one, I smell an upset brewing. I'm going to pick the Houston Texans to win this game because they're the better football team. But look, the Titans played a really good game against the Vikings last week. They lost 23-13, and it wasn't pretty all the way around because they couldn't run the football. But the Vikings have the best run defense in the NFL, so there's that. But at the same time, Will Levis, these past couple of games, has played well. He's played much better than he has in the first 4 weeks of the season, first 5 weeks of the season, excuse me. And here's the deal. The Texans, defensively, have been shown to have struggles. And while the Titans offense has had their fair share of struggles all year so far, look, Will Levis, he had 2 solid games. He had a solid game against the Chargers, one of the best defenses in the NFL. He had a really good game against the Vikings, one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Texans defense doesn't match up well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, this means Will Levis is going to destroy the Houston Texans defense. I don't think it's going to happen because, look, I've said it before, your division rivals know you better than any other team does in the National Football League. That's why you're the division rival. That's a fact. You play them twice a year, right? And so they're going to have a plan to stop Will Levis. They're going to have a plan to slow him down, and I think that's what's going to happen. But this is something I want you to keep your eye on because if Will Levis can do some good things against this Texans defense, there's going to be a good chance that they could possibly upset the Texans. Because here's the thing. If you want to flip it on the other side of its ear, the Titans know the Texans better than most teams do. Just as the Texans know the Titans the same way. It goes hand in hand. But considering how Will Levis has played the last couple of weeks, here's a huge test against the division rival. You're on the road. Can you make something happen against your division leader in the AFC South? I don't think it's ultimately going to happen. But at the same time, I would love for you guys to keep your eye on this game as the Texans defeat the Tennessee Titans. Ultimately, almost knocked my script over. I feel like I'm talking really fast. I feel like I'm talking really, really quickly in the script. Not really meaning to. I'm not really meaning to talk really fast throughout this episode. But I find myself doing it. Like that one, like the Vikings and the Bears, like looking back at it, oh my God, I was just going, blah, 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 I was zooming through it. And I think I was talking pretty clearly too, if I'm being entirely honest. Then again, I'll have to look back at it and see, was I really speaking that fast and really speaking that clearly? We'll see. But moving on, the next game, Lions traveling to Indy to face the Colts. Give me the Lions to win this game. Look, they dropped 50 on Tennessee. They dropped 50 on the Jaguars. Are they going to drop 50 on the Colts? Maybe not, but I think they're going to destroy the Colts. You know what? No, I take it back. What? And there goes the mic. Had our first mic mishap so far this year, which crazy we haven't had it until now. But the Lions, are they going to drop 50 on the Colts? I don't know about that, but they're going to drop 40 plus. I'm calling it right now. They're dropping over 40 points in this game. Book it. Book it. I think that's going to happen. The Colts defense is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And you got the best offense coming into town. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is a recipe for disaster for the Colts. But if you want any reason to watch this game outside of the Detroit Lions destroying the Colts and their star players looking good as usual, watch Anthony Richardson. He had a great game last week against the Jets. Probably the best game he's had as a starter since he's come into the league. Against the Detroit Lions defense, I don't know how well he's going to perform. He's definitely going to do I don't know if he'll do as well as going up against the Jets and their, mentally deprived defense. But against Detroit, who they're fighting hard, they're physical. I mean, obviously they're 9-1. I mean, they're the best team in the league right now for a reason. But can Anthony Richardson stack a couple of games together? It's like talking about with Will Levis in Tennessee. Can these two quarterbacks, they have a good game under their belt now? Will Levis has 2. Can these quarterbacks in this last 7 games of the year, this last 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, 7 games. In these last 7 games of the year, can these quarterbacks put some good wins together and, reinstill confidence, or can they reinstill faith, or the organization, or the front office for organization's faith in them? That makes sense, right? Yes, that makes sense. I think you guys understand. I think you guys get the point. But can Anthony Richardson string another game together, That's at least respectable. I don't think he's going to have a great game against the Detroit Lions. Let's be honest. They're a really good football team. They're nowhere near what the Jets are. But can he at least put up a respectable stat line and show good signs and show improvement? And that's really what you're looking for the Jets, for the Colts the rest of the year, is can Anthony Richardson stack these games together and just be better, and can he improve? And going against Detroit, it's going to be a tall task, and it's going to be tough. I mean, he's not going to match what he did last week, I don't think. But I still, there's an opportunity here to have a respectable stat line, because you look at his talent, you look what he can do. Fine, we'll see. But there's no doubt that the Lions are going to destroy the Indianapolis Colts. I said it, they're going to score over 40 points. I'm calling it right now. Next up on the list, we got the Patriots going to Miami to face the Dolphins. And I thought about this one a little bit more than I thought I probably should have. But I'm ultimately going to pick the Dolphins to win this game. Look, they're at home. Same reasoning for why they're going to why I had them winning the Raiders. Still warm here, although Saturday here in the area, it's going to be, at least where I live in Tampa, it's going to be in the 60s. It's probably going to be in it's going to be high 60s, so it's probably going to be like the mid 70s down there. But so that's really good weather. And for the Dolphins, they scored 30 points for the first time this year. Excuse me. They have offensively looked like themselves and like the usual Miami Dolphins for the first time this last week. And against the Patriots defense, which has been really, really bad, I expect them to do well. I expect them to, do more of the same. I think the Patriots defense is going to have a couple wins. However, I just realized my mic is completely just chilling out over here. At this point, I'm just going to leave it. At this point, it's been here the whole time. Might as well just leave it here the rest of the show, right? But for the Patriots, Drake May and this offense has heated up a little bit these past couple of weeks. They haven't been anything great. It hasn't been anything spectacular. But right now, these past couple of weeks, Drake May has made this offense look a little more respectable. It looks like an NFL offense that can do something. Not what it was earlier in the year when the Patriots could do absolutely nothing. And so with Drake May at quarterback, and with his Dolphins defense not being a very good defense, although they played really, really, really good against the Raiders, but that's kind of maybe more of a testament to how bad and how lacking of weapons in the cupboard the Raiders have over there. They have nothing outside of Brock Bowers. And for the Patriots, I think they're going to do some good things on offense. I think they're going to be in this game in the middle of the third quarter. This game is going to be close until about the early fourth quarter, mid fourth quarter, and then the Dolphins are going to pull away a little bit. They're going to get a late touchdown, go up by 10 or something, and then that's going to be the game. But ultimately, as I said, Miami's going to win this game. They're at home. They have a stride going right now. As I said, does this mean they're going anywhere? No. I'm saying this right now. Even though I'm picking the Miami to win these next couple of games, or last week, and I picked them to win this week, and they're probably going to win it. Look, this doesn't mean the Dolphins are going to the playoffs. I don't think they are. You can't go back to the playoffs after starting how bad you started. But still, hey, you get a couple of wins, string them together. That's good for morale, good for the team, fine. Next up, we got the Bucs at the New York Giants. Bucs coming off of a bye week here. Panthers came off a bye week too. I forgot to mention that. But it doesn't really matter because they're facing the Chiefs. They're going to lose regardless. But look at this game. The Bucs going to New York to face the Giants. I have the Bucs winning this game. I can't remember if excuse me, I'm scratching my nose. I can't remember if Mike Evans is going to come back for this game. I really can't remember. Someone that's a Bucs fan, let me know in the comments down below if Mike Evans is going to play in this game. I cannot remember. But going against the Giants, the Bucs are going to win this game. Look, even though they don't have Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, their offense has still been able to be respectable. It's still been able to be efficient. And against a bad Giants defense, I don't know what to tell you. And then on the flip side of that, Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the Giants, has been benched. Not just benched to second string. He is down to third string. Tommy DeVito is now going to be the starter once again for the New York Giants, which, if you want a reason to watch this game, there you go. Tommy Cutlets going back for New York. And he's going to be the X factor in this game, because can he elevate this offense? Who knows? You're going up against the Bucs defense that's been pretty mid all year. You're not really sure what you're going to get. but the Bucs defense has star players on all phases of on all three levels of the football. And I think the Bucs are gonna, coming off of a bye week, having some rest with some time to get healthy. I think that they're gonna win handily against the New York Giants. This is probably gonna be like a 24-10 type of game, and that's pretty much it. The Bucs are gonna win, and come on. I think there's too many circumstances in their favor, and then with the Giants benching Daniel Jones, that's a move that reflects in the locker room more than people talk about, more than people are willing to mention. Over here, how many games we got left? We got 6 games to go. The Dallas Cowboys traveling to the Commanders. Commanders are winning this game. Moving on. Just kidding. I'm not going to move on just yet. But Jaden Daniels coming off of a tough loss against Philly. I think this is a perfect get-right game for the Commanders in general. Look, you lost 2 straight, 2 close ones, one against a division rival, one against Pittsburgh. And the name of the game for the Steelers and the Eagles winning was being able to contain Jaden Daniels. You're at home, the Commanders. You're going up against a bad defense in Dallas. Here is a perfect opportunity for the Commanders to get right back to what they were doing before, get right back to the explosiveness, get right back to the dynamic ability of Jaden Daniels. It's a get-right game. It's a get-right game for the Commanders, which is why, this game is important for them. And for Dallas, I don't know. It's hard to talk about bad teams in times like these because, it's just hard. It's just hard because it's the same, because bad teams find new ways to lose, but at the same time, they do the same bad things every single week. Running game is still bad. Defense is still bad. Quarterback, you have Cooper Rush at quarterback. If you had Dak, things might be a little bit different. But there's no doubt that the Commies are going to win this game pretty handily, and it's going to be a get-right game for them. But this next game is going to be a little bit interesting. I should have talked about it with the Cowboys Commanders because usually, like I said, division games tend to be close. That one's not going to be close. This one's going to be close. The Broncos going to Las Vegas to face the Raiders. The Broncos are going to win this game, and they should beat them handily. But something tells me that the Raiders are going to keep this game close. Oddly close. Not going to be like anything, it's going to be like 10-6, or it's going to be like 25-24. I don't think it's going to be something like that. But I think through the middle of the fourth quarter, these two teams are going to be neck and neck. I think the Broncos are ultimately going to pull away. That's why I have them winning. But the Raiders, at this point, they got to start looking at a mentality of playing with nothing left to lose. Because at this point, they have nothing left to lose. Sure, if you keep on losing, you get a better draft pick, woohoo. But coaches and players don't think like that. They're not thinking about the draft pick next year. They're thinking about winning right now. That's what every organization thinks. Newsflash for fans that want the team to tank. Sorry. But for the Raiders, as I said, they're getting to a point where they have nothing left to lose. And you're going up against a division rival. You're at home. It's an opportunity for the Raiders to get a win that's kind of like their Super Bowl. You know how every bad team has that one win where it's like, oh, wow, you kind of feel good. It makes you feel good. The Raiders really need a win right now. They really need a win that just kind of give them a moral boost, kind of give them just a little extra oomph going into the next week. And I don't know if that's going to be this game, but I definitely expect them to bring this game down to the wire for sure. Next up on the list, this one I debated for a little bit. I'm going to sit back for just a second. Straighten my back out. Man, having to lean over like this without any back support hurts, but this is better positioning for the show. I'm going to stick through it a little bit. We're troopers. We fight through this. The 49ers traveling to Green Bay to face the Packers. I have the Packers winning this game. Normally, I would pick the 49ers because they have good coaching, they have a good defense, they have a good offense. But look, the 49ers are in a Super Bowl hangover at the moment. And the Packers are a team that's trying to ascend. Sure, they've had their struggles this year on offense, especially with Jordan Love making some bad decisions throwing with the football. But look, the Packers, I just think they're a better football team right now. This is going to be a really good game. This is going to be the second best game of the week, in my opinion. But ultimately, I think the Packers are going to win a close one. They're going to eke it out. It's going to be like a game-winning field goal or something. But man, I just can't see the 49ers really beating the Packers. I mean, yeah, I can. I take that back. I can see them beating the Packers, but the Packers, you look at the defense, you look at what they're able to do on offense when things are working right, and then you look at the 49ers, and there's a lot of struggles. There's struggles that normally aren't there, and I did mention they have a good offense and good defense, and they do, but it simply has not been good enough. It simply it just hasn't been good enough for the 49ers and for the Packers, who are an ascending football team. They're 6-4 right now, or 7-4 right now. Here's an opportunity to make a statement and show that you are here, that you are really, really legit. Because there's some people that are questioning and doubting Jordan Love. And a good game here from him and for this Packers offense in general can cement that the Packers are here and that they are a legit playoff team. Hey, legit playoff team. Remember? You remember when I talked about it with the Bengals and Chargers? Think about it. It's still here. We're getting to it here in just a moment. The next game on the list, got 3 games to go. We'll get the Cardinals traveling to Seattle to face the Seahawks. Cardinals coming off of a bye week. Seattle coming off of a last-second win against the Rams. I thought about this one a lot too, because the Cardinals, their defense, while it's not been good, their offense has been really, really good for them. Looking at Seattle, looking at their offense, it's been really, really good this year. Defensively, it's been a mixed bag. But look, I said it last week, when you catch Seattle on a good day defensively, they can go toe-to-toe with just about anybody in the league. And given the crazy win that they had against the Rams, they're at home, I'm inclined to pick the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. Because offensively, I think they're going to go off on this defense a little bit. They're going to they're going to win. They're going to win their, offensively versus the Cardinals defense. The Seahawks offense is going to win. They're going to have their way for the most part of this game. But the Cardinals, their offense is no slouch either. And, going against Seattle defense, that's going to be a huge test. But I think Seattle's going to wake up on Sunday. Their defense is going to come out, show out after a big win against the Rams last week, get a couple string wins together, and retake first place in the division for the NFC West, which has been the most wackiest division in football so far this year. Now we get into our last primetime games. Sunday Night Football, Philly goes to LA to face the Rams. Eagles are winning this game straight up. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This offense is finally, I shouldn't say finally, but the offense is complete. It's here. They have their identity. They've been getting better and better and better. Defensively, they are getting better and better and better. They have all the momentum right now. I think they've won 6 straight games right now, 5 or 6 straight games at this point, and going up against a Rams team that's really just been up and down, up and down, up and down. The Eagles, I think they're going to handily win this game, although the Rams, they have an opportunity here. They have an opportunity here to make this game close and make it even. This game could also be an upset watch if you really want to go as far. There's a universe where the Rams beat the Eagles in this game. I just don't think that we're living in that universe where that happens. That's why I have the Eagles winning this football game. And then we finally get to Monday Night Football. The Ravens traveling to LA to face who? The Chargers. Full circle moment here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is why I asked the question at the beginning of the show. Are the Chargers a legit playoff team? Are they? Well, what's the difference between a playoff team and a legit playoff team? A playoff team is a team that makes the playoffs, but will probably just lose in the wild card round. They're there because there's no other team better, another team below them that's better than them, right? Like they're there just to be there. But a legit playoff team is a team that will, in the wild card round, at the very least, keep this game close. Keep the game close. Bring it down to the wire, literally give you everything they've got, and more than likely, they could win a playoff game as well. That is a legit playoff team, in my opinion. Borderline legit playoff team. So, for the Chargers, why do I ask this question? Because they're going up against the Baltimore Ravens. They're hosting the Baltimore Ravens, one of the best offenses in the league. We'll start defensively for the Chargers. Look, you struggled against the Bengals a lot, more than people probably would have expected, give or take, depending on who you are and how you view the Bengals. But the Ravens are a whole different animal. Because not only do they run the football well, they throw the football well. And it's going to be, this is the biggest test that the Chargers defense has faced all year. They've been able to benefit from having not very good opponents going up against the majority of the year so far. And if they can put up a performance against the Ravens that shuts them down and slows them down, that's going to be huge. And along with that, for the Chargers, offensively, you're going up against a really good defense. And with last week, Justin Herbert was more mobile in that game more than he has in a while. He's going to need more of that to beat the Ravens. He's going to need more than that to beat them. And quarterback-wise, what was I going to say here? Like receivers. Ladd McConkey is going to have to step up big time against a Ravens secondary that has had their struggles this year, but is a solid unit all around. Quentin Johnston's going to have to make plays. Will Dissly's going to have to get involved. J.K. Dobbins on the ground going up against, and Gus Edwards, both of these teams going up against their former team in Baltimore. They're going to need to show out tonight too. I think Joe Burrow. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to show out. I think he's going to have a really good game against the Ravens, considering that all of his injuries that he had over there, they let him go. He goes to the Chargers and has an incredible season so far to this point. Call me crazy, but this is a huge test for the Chargers to determine if they win this game. I think I'm going to call them a legit playoff team. If they don't win this game, I don't know if I'm willing to call them a legit playoff team. This is their biggest game of the year, and I think this is going to be the best game of the week. You have two great quarterbacks going at it, two really, really good football teams that are solid, that are strong on both sides of the ball, and ultimately, I think the Chargers are going to win. The home field advantage plays a role, although it's not that much because the Chargers, people don't really go to Chargers games. But even then, they're still in their home stadium. They are going up against the Baltimore Ravens, who are coming off of a loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think with the Chargers defense, looking at what the Steelers did and were able to drag this offense and drag this team through the mud, I think the Chargers have the formula and have the players and the coaches on this team to do something similar. And they probably won't be able to do it to the effect that the Steelers did. But I think there's going to be moments in this game where the Chargers defense really, really slows down this explosive Ravens offense. And that's why I think they're going to win this game. Call it now. I'll just give a score prediction. I don't really do score predictions, but for this game, give it 27-24. 27-24 will be my final score prediction for that game. And with that being said, that is the end of the list, and that is going to do it for me today, guys, in this episode. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know. Let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments down below. Please do. I would really love to hear from fans across the league about your thoughts about me and your thoughts about me picking games and what you think of me thinking about your team. Whatever. Even if we want to say hi, leave a comment down below, please. Get me into the algorithm. That helps. But also, don't forget to do what every other YouTuber tells you to do. You guys know the drill. Everything else that gets you into the algorithm. Liking the video, subscribing to the channel. It's huge, 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 huge. And make sure you share the video, or even if you don't share it, talk with your friends, talk with your family. Get everyone locked in and locked on to the Shumake Take podcast. Coming out with great videos for you guys every Monday and Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is going to do it for me today, guys. And I will see you guys in the next one.